the best thing he was good at that people saw that they liked the most was his ability to play around football. So
even you see Jesus like helping out on the left wing, helping out with Kiwa, because
Actually, you
Kiwa
need to
was
be more
just
specific. Jesus, not Jesus. Today is Easter
Jesus.
Sunday.
you want to take the food out of a honorable man. You don't want his family to feed. You want to take food out of a man of timber and caliber. It's not fair. It's not good. What you see?
See, I don't even want to start with you guys this week because last week you guys gave me a name that was not my own. I was trending for the
Wale, you trended though. You trended over.
Wale, you even have people that said they like cheating guys. They said I should greet you. I'm sure they hear this. People that said they like, they say, okay, because Wale is a cheating person. I like people that cheat. I said, oh, wow, I can send you his number if you want to, but you're on your own. If anything happen to you.
I was trending for the wrong reasons because of Polish last week. I'm not doing this dance with you this week, Polish. Like,
no, me, I speak truth is my perfume. Truth is my roll-on. So I just exude truth.
Oh, please give me a break. It's the All About Nothing podcast. It's an Easter special because our listeners can see our face after a long while. We've been trying to like get the balance between the video and the audio. Like Bolish has been wanting to show his fine face for all this while. You can see Akin is even looking peng already. You just know that the weather is different where Akin is. Everything feels different. Wall is different.
Don't be deceived, people. the weather is sunny right here, but at least we thank God, man. It's good to be on the podcast.
Hi guys. You are definitely putting on the wrong jersey.
I don't know why you guys are always so concerned about my affiliations. I am affiliated to so many great clubs. So, and this is just one of them.
If I supported Man U, so I'll probably be affiliated with so many clubs because the kind of around football you guys are serving can only be served in Afghanistan, like proper.
You support Inter Milan too.
Dude, do you even watch Inter? Do you watch Inter play?
Because you are doing well this year.
To all the listeners and
I've never played around football since we were appointed in Zagi. So please, you need to watch it.
It's like time I asked a very important question because it seems like you've been deceiving us like for the past since when this podcast started. Back then when we were in school for our undergrad, like you're a Man U supporter now. What happened?
I grew up supporting Man U and Inter. I'm not going to deny that. But at some point, I stopped supporting Man U.
No, there was a time that you were not supporting Inter. It was always Man U.
Wasn't always Man U. Let me tell you a short story before we get into the podcast. Back in 2006, I grew up in Surulere, for those that have known. One of the questions my friends used to ask me was, if Inter and Man U should play each other, who would I support? That time, back in 2006, 2005-ish. And it was something I could never really decide upon. But after a while, I lost interest in supporting Man U after a while, even before we left the university safe. And speaking about university, Akin, I was just thinking the other day that, do you remember your favorite spot at Faj's TV room, beside that door, where you used to stand?
You have to juggle my memory, please.
Like remember the night?
Akin, don't remember. Over incriminating you. Don't remember.
No. I'm not trying to incriminate him. I'm not trying to.
Make your state your claim.
What I'm trying to point out is, yes, we're talking about, because one of the topics we're talking about today is obviously OAU Chronicles. I think other than Kunle, the four of us all went to OAU at the same time and graduated at the same time. So we're all in campus at one point or the other. And because of Akin's height, when some of us would go to fight calf to go and struggle that, make I sit down for your middle. I used to have this plank. I used to put in between people's planks.
Yeah.
Akin had this particular. He just knows where he was going to go and stand when they were playing. The day one guy shouted "Pique," Akin was beside the guy. I was like, "What the fuck is Pique?" These people knows I didn't play more. Akin was beside the guy now. What do you talk now? He said Pique.
Bro, how did you remember all of those incidents, man?
Trust me, I remember things like that. So when I was thinking about it, I was like,
I tell you the only thing that Wally does not remember. Should I tell you the only thing that Wale does not remember?
Please go ahead.
When he wants to catch him cheating, he does not even remember his activity.
We are back.
But every other thing, his brain is very sharp. But once it's time to catch him in the process of cheating, his memory is blank. He does not remember. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, I feel like we'll come back to our chronicles of OAU later. But for now, I think the best place to start, Bullish, is the game that just ended earlier this evening. Because I'll be hypocritical to say I was part of those people that said Arsenal were very, very naive last season when they showed up at the Etihad Stadium and they told themselves that we should be play ball too now. Let's go toe to toe with Man City. And within 2 minutes they were 1-0 down already and they were convincing, like they were properly beaten. But this time around today, it felt like a case of okay, we'll take whatever it is that we can get. We'll be patient. We'll be solid. And if we don't win, if you leave here with a point, it's going to be a great result. For the neutrals, it's obviously around football, and a lot of people were disappointed because of the build up to the game, top 2 teams, blah, 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 or top 2 of the top 3 teams, blah, blah, blah. And everybody talking about, 4 center backs. And I'm like, 4 center backs for Pep Guardiola is different for any other team. It's like 3 center backs because one of the center backs is obviously a midfielder. But from the Arsenal perspective, Bullish, for me, the way I see it was they went with a game plan to ensure that they did not lose, and it worked for them.
Yeah, because the most important thing at this stage of season is to keep your momentum. And if you look at the way Arsenal has played over the last 3, 4, 5 games, you see that they've played a particular way. They've gotten results when they needed to. So the number one thing is to ensure that coming out of the game, you don't feel defeated. You don't feel like you have lost track of your charge for the title. You don't feel like you are inferior. And one of the most important things when you are playing against it, you have to be very solid, both in defense and midfield, because you cannot just go all out attacking, because the City would always break the lines. They have the midfielders, they have the people to make the runs, to make sure that they break the line. So it was important to have a game plan where if you had control of the game and you could do anything you want with the game, that's a different ball game. But when you're playing a team like City, you have to be composed in midfield and defense. You have to make sure that you are solid. You have to keep your momentum so that this game, even though it was a draw, feels more like a victory to Arsenal than to Man City, because of the momentum is still there. You know that, okay, last year, towards the end, you're leading, but at this game 30, you're leading by like 7 or 8 points, then you crumbled. You don't want to experience that kind of thing. So I understand the tactics, and it's important when you play teams that are very possession-based, who have quality all over the pitch, that you adjust. Because if you go back to last season, and even some games, there are games where teams try to go toe-to-toe with Manchester City, and then, for example, Real Madrid were beaten by 4-0 or something like that, or 4-1. So you have to always make sure that game by game, that's the hallmark of a good manager anyway, that game by game, you plan accordingly, you do what is needed to ensure that, you know, you get the best game plan needed. So that's what I see that Arteta did, and kudos to them for being able to pull off the draw. Yes, around football, but some of people's best manager in the world that people hail and will not let me hear word until recently, the best thing he was good at, that people saw that they liked the most, was his ability to play around football. So around football, so far you get the results, nobody cares.
Akin, you have been gleaming with a smile all day. It feels like at least you didn't win, but you have some bragging rights this season over Man City.
I mean, bragging rights. I would understand actually, because 4 points out of the possible 6. So I mean, I don't remember the last time we've been able to actually achieve that feat against Man City. And in all of those 2 legs, we didn't concede. That's a very great achievement. This season. And now that we see it now, the way we see it play, I don't want to buy more than we could actually possibly chew, in the sense that with the draw, it feels good, but as an Arsenal fan, I would love to have actually won that game. We had a couple of chances that I feel like we had a couple of chances that I feel like, calm down now, Bullish. Let me finish now.
Go on.
Honestly, and this the point I'm about to make now is, Actually, if you remember, Bolish, there was a tweet you actually tweeted out like actually after the game. I didn't know that you were actually referencing Haaland. I thought you were even talking about Gabriel Jesus because I mean he had like a couple of chances in that game that I felt like he had too many touches. All he had to do was just shoot the ball, and then you're good. I mean, he had couple. So
not criticize Jesus or Leicester. Actually,
see, I will criticize. See, this is one of the reasons why I feel like we're just
not
like a player. We're just a player. He said on Insta. I just feel like we're just a player away from actually matching the Man City squad, like personnel by personnel. Like, and I mean, when I say the player in this sense, I think is a striker. We need one of those strikers that actually can bury chances when they have it at their feet, and that's what I feel we're lacking actually. And if you even look at the stats, yeah, I mean, the expected goals, Man City will always have it. Possession wise, they will always have it, but we attempted more shot on target than them, and one of them was practically the one that Gabriel Jesus actually fumbled. But overall, like a draw is good. I mean, 4 points from Pep is not an easy feat. Not a lot of managers can actually do that. So Arsenal was able to do that, and I'm pleased actually. So it's on to the next game, and we just take it one game at a time. Let's see what will come out of this at the end of the season. Yeah.
yeah, like is telling us that it's especially still a marathon. But I think for Liverpool fans, right, it's a case of they won the weekend. They won their game against Brighton. Obviously, they had to go down to 2-1. But the perfect result for Liverpool was Arsenal and City, which obviously happened. But I think on City's aspect, it would feel like we really should have won this.
Yeah, I feel like City should have won this game. This weekend was a weekend that was won in the Merseyside of England, because if you look at the momentum of the game, I know it sounds ridiculous, some of the things Akin has said, but I feel Arsenal were a little bit unlucky. They had converted some of their chances. I think they are the first team, if I'm not shooting too high at the skies, but I think they're the first team to have more touches in the box than Man City throughout the season. That is how established Arteta was today. And if you look at the Arsenal team, it's a team that is maturing into itself. I understand the fact that a lot of people are disappointed that they didn't win, but I think this is a win for them too. So I feel the only loser in today's outcome is the blue side of Manchester, because their draw against Liverpool, their draw against Arsenal has sort of set them back a bit. And if they were playing Villa at Villa's Park, it would have been a very, very tough game. But at least they get to play in the Etihad, and they can at least get one over Aston Villa and probably put more pressure on Liverpool. But as the running goes, when we look at the games individually, it's a very silly thing to also say. But Liverpool are in the prime position to push this and capitalize on this 3 points advantage that they have over Man City, because we know how Man City can be very clinical when it comes to the end of the season. So seeing a Man City that is dropping 4 points in 2 games is kind of a beam of sunshine in the Merseyside of England. So I feel like in all of this weekend, Liverpool are the biggest winners, and Man City can only hope that they will begin their resurgence with their game against Aston Villa. So it promises to be a very good season. I think for the first time in like 9 years, this is like the concluded part of the season that is more challenging as opposed to times past where Guardiola would just drag everybody by the scruff of the neck and be like, you know what, you are all my babies. Just keep following me at the top.
Before I even move away from the game, we have a proposed show coming up to our listeners out there, because we're trying to dive more into more shows that involve football, like breaking down the game. So, Polish, I want to like break down the game and talk about this particular game in the essence, because me and you we've been engaged on a debate on Twitter not too long ago, talking about the fact that Haaland was poor in terms of touches and stuff like that, contributions. Then he missed that one chance that fell to him from the corner kick. But when you look at it, City didn't create many for a team that had Foden, Bernardo Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne on the pitch today, at least for 60 minutes, all three players, all three creative linchpins were on the pitch for about 60 minutes and barely created. There was no chance that you felt, oh my God, they created the chance, but they missed it. It was that kind of game. They were stifled. Yes, Jorginho was sitting as the holding midfielder as the 6 for Arsenal. Declan Rice, with his energy, supported him massively. Then Arsenal hoped to hit on the break. But for City, it became a case of, okay, we know where the creativity is going to come from. We'll stop it. Yes, you expected Haaland to do more, but don't you think you are being unfair when Haaland has to deal with both Saliba and Gabriel on his own?
So the criticism of Haaland is not just about whether he's a great scorer or not. That one, I think you now agree that I was not denying his ability to score or the fact that he's a great player. The conversation was more in the tune of, oh, last year we were having conversation Mbappe or Haaland because we started thinking, oh, can we create the next Messi CR7 rivalry again? And then for you to have been in that conversation, that means the flaws in your game has to be very limited. The flaws in CR7 game, even as much as some people used to call CR7 Penaldo sarcastically, everyone understands what CR7 can do when it's on the pitch. His ability to create, his ability to dribble, different things he can do. So that's one aspect. Now, I think it's more of the fact that the wingers that Pep has, they are not. Grealish has been off form this season. That's number one. Doku has not gotten into the stride of how we should play. I think probably next season we'll play better. Then there's one person that is not in that squad that if De Bruyne did not experience the injury he had and he has been playing at, I think De Bruyne did not play last week. He's coming back from injury. He's still ramping up. If De Bruyne there, maybe they probably would not have missed that person as much. But Gundogan, I watch Gundogan every weekend, and I kind of the brilliance of that guy in terms of positioning, how to place the ball, where to place the ball, where to connect with the midfielders, how to work with the attackers. It's magical what Gundogan can do in your squad. So I think that's someone that Pep has not really been able to find the ideal replacement for. And you could see the way they play. Yes, Foden can do it sometimes. Yes, Bernardo Silva can do it sometimes. But most times, those two tend to drift to the wings. So you have a situation whereby you are, and I don't want to take anything away from Arsenal. Arsenal has always been compact all season long. The combo of Declan Rice has been, I think we can almost agree that probably been the best signing of the season. So that one aside. So the Arsenal side is there. But for Pep's side, one, I think losing Gundogan was really a setback for them. And they've not really decided who will do what Gundogan was doing and who will replace him in the squad. The wingers are not as one of Guardiola always that wing play is super important. And Doku, Grealish, they are not doing it. Alvarez, sometimes, you see him, sometimes, it's almost like when Haaland wasn't there, Alvarez was able to, show himself a bit more. So the wing play is not as superb. And then there's just mental blockage of winning. There's a reason why no one has won 4 in a row. 4 league titles in a row. There's a reason why. So a compilation of factors like that. So it's not like there's a specific, direct thing that you can point to and say, this is exactly why City is not as explosive or City did not create as much chances. It's a combination of those factors on the City side and the fact that Arsenal's game plan and the Arsenal personnel, Declan Rice, Jorginho, and the guys, the way they play together, the way they cover for themselves. Saka had 4 tackles in the game. So that means Saka was doing a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
Huh? No, so it was that kind of game. There are games like that where even though you are the star boy up front, you need to create chances, dribble and everything. You put in a shift in defense, you add another number in midfield, it helps. So it's a combination of City not being the well-oiled machine. Even the games they've won this season, a lot of the games they've won is okay, Pep's creating stuff and then the team just struggling. They've had a lot of 1-0 victories this season and stuff like that. So there's that aspect. Then there's the aspect of Arsenal also getting their game plan right. the team playing together. If Saka is having 4 tackles in the game, that means he put in a shift because you understand defensively was called they were compact. So I think it's just a mixture of both factors.
Akim, Polish mentioned Saka putting in a shift and doing his best to ensure that it was a team effort because, especially in the first half of that game, the best attacking option for Man City was just Guardiola on the left, and the best option for Arsenal was Ben White on the right. He kept going past Saka, picking up the passes, picked out Jesus twice with his crosses. Jesus was doing that thing whereby it was just turning and turning on the own, and you're wondering, okay, when is he going to shoot? Do you get? So it became a case of, okay, it was that kind of game. But there are still people that will feel like, okay, Saka is supposed to be the next best thing, like he's the best, Arsenal's supposed best player, whether you agree with them or not. But yes, you are putting in the shift defensively, you're trying to help the team. At some point, don't you think, okay, we would expect him to do more against these so-called bigger teams? Because you obviously cannot travel to Munich and expect that, Saka, your job in the Champions League against Bayern today is 4 tackles. You need him to operate more and give you more going forward.
I mean that's like expectations of all.
I don't know why Bolis is laughing.
I don't know. I myself, I'm wondering why he's laughing. Well, I think he likes when he smiles. His cheeks are always poppy, so we need that.
Munich. There's no reminiscence that comes to mind.
To be honest, I like the fact that this video podcast came in time. At least we have evidence of Polish smiling, and so that when Arsenal qualifies to the next stage, we'll bring this clip back. But yeah, back to your question.
There's a song by Reminisce that our listeners need to go and check, that applies to this scenario. But go on, please.
Well, whatever suits you, a Reminisce fan. So back to what about Saka and people craving him to have like more outputs and all that. But then again, I feel like I can't continue to make up excuses for the guy because of his age and all that. Like the truth is, like, we have players that are even way younger than him right now that are actually doing quite a lot. But to be fair, it shows to be fair right now, it shows that what he did today shows that there's also like an element to other elements to his game. I mean, he could do what the coach actually requires of him to do. And I feel like it's the same thing for every player on that team today. Like, they needed to be compact. They knew that they were not going to have like possession as Man City. So the reality was already there. They had that understanding. And for that reason, every player on the pitch are going to do their best to also defend when they're actually not in possession of football. It's expected. Even you see Jesus like helping out on the left wing, helping out with Kiwa, because Kiwa was
more specific. Jesus, not Jesus. Today is Easter Sunday.
Jesus. I'm sorry, guys.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, Jesus. Yeah, Jesus. Thanks for the correction, guys. So yeah, Jesus was even coming back to track. He was tracking back, helping Kiwa, because there was a point in time Bernardo Silva was just shifting these guys' hips left and right, and I was like, will this guy be able to survive it? So it was good to see that, okay, Jesus was also coming back, tracking back, and actually marking. So it was a defensive effort for the all players on that pitch today. And I mean, if it requires that a Saka like that is known for his offensive ability to also like maybe once in a while come to the back or just track back and make tackles, it's fine. It's good, because no one was expecting us to have like possession like more than like City did today, and which is quite aware. We give possession to them, and it's expected that all hands on deck. So I don't get why a lot of fans. I mean, I'll understand like a lot of fans' expectations, but then again, not everybody has that like what's it called, football knowledge in terms of like, when you're in the thick and thin of like the whole thing, like when you're experiencing what the opponent gives you. So you have to like be able to like, adjust to it. You have to be able to adapt in a way, because after the game, I think Odegaard was like saying, that wasn't the game plan. But that's the thing about football. I mean, talking about our OAU like chronicles. Like, there was a time that Wale, you mentioned that the game that Manchester United played against Roma, that Roma actually beat them, and you said, "Oh, Silas Ferguson said if only he could play that game again."
Yeah, that was Milan.
That was Milan. Thank you so much. If he could play that, so like all coaches and players have an idea of like, okay, this is what we're going to play. But when you get to the pitch and you see like, okay, this is not working, you just have to adapt. And I think that was the case with the whole players and the team today, with the Arsenal players in the team today. They all just had to adapt. You know what? Okay, we're not getting the ball. We can just catch them on counter attack, and provided that we play a very compact football and we hold our own grounds. And I feel like every player on that pitch actually did what they had to do. They contributed to the game both offensively and defensively. So I mean, if Saka is getting all of those tackles, I don't see. I don't want everyone to see that as very strange. It's needed. I mean, if you're going to like play a Man City team, you have to be good all rounder. Yeah.
To our foreign listeners out there, and our non-Yoruba listeners, I'll probably just apologize. But there's a Yoruba proverb that says that thing about Gueshin, what that means is that Akin is extremely happy. You can see his happiness that Bolish was going to drag me for losing today, but yes.
No, you know nothing about Bolish. Bolish should be Bolish. Bolish should be Bolish. I'm not scared of Bolish. So
I'm not scared of Bolish, Abi.
Nah. Bolish is my boy.
Before I move away from the Premier League and focus on other things, it will be unfair, Elementor, if I do not put you on stage, because me and you got into these debates a few weeks when the season started, when I told you that Burnley dominated Man United, and you were like, oh no, stats do not tell the entire game of football. Erik Ten Hag does not have this guy available. This guy has gone to jail. This one will go to the moon when he has this. Blah. You created it was so intense that you were like, no, domination is not even about possession. All those things, blah blah blah. But as a fan, like, I want you to be honest with yourself. When you watch games like yesterday against Brentford, whereby Brentford is setting a record of 3 years, they had 80 touches in Man United's own box. They created 31 shots against Man United, and you're wondering that I don't care what there's no even.
Wale, you forgotten one start. Three shots, the crossbar.
Yeah, 3 shots against the crossbar. At what point do United fans need to realize that like, we have the wrong guy?
Coach, no. Or at what point do they give him 5 years extension?
I think that's the wrong question you're asking, because it's not within the power of the fans to decide what happens with.
But there's still fans online that will tell you that give him time. He's trying to build. Rome was not built in a day.
The thing is, the onus is not on the fans. There's nothing the fans can do. I think yesterday was the most terrible showing I've seen since I've been supporting United since 2005. It's so terrible that I didn't even witness both goals. I slept off before both goals. So, like, I was on my sofa. My head was bent towards the TV, and I just woke up thinking I would see 0-0. Then I saw 1-1. I was like, what just happened? Because I think I dozed off around 88 minutes ish, kind of. So it has been the recurring theme of this particular team and setup. Why they have this like Liverpool, and if you guys are being fair against Liverpool, I was basically telling all of you there's nothing to jubilate about. You all were saying we beat Liverpool. No, you must party. I was telling you guys there's nothing to party about, because against Liverpool we didn't play well either. We didn't play well. It was just a one-off moment where the team will just rally together and they will have 5 minutes of Zeus. Like, they'll be feeling like Zeus, like half God, like half human, and they will just play well for 5 minutes. Like, the game against Liverpool, we could have killed the game before the game ended. Rashford had an obvious chance. He threw it away. So, like, I think it has been a recurring theme of this particular team. The fact that they don't have a structure. They don't have a system. Like, analysts that can come and say this is what Ten Hag is doing. Like, there's no analyst that can come and say this is the particular style United is playing. Are we playing counter-attack? Are we playing possession football? Are we
Aram football. That's what you're saying.
I think Aram
I
is
put
not
it to you,
I think Aram is
I put it to you that I'm an hater.
it's not about okay. I know what you're doing. You don't want your team to hire Ten Hag. I know what you're doing.
You want to take the food out of a honorable man. You don't want his family to feed. You want to take food out of a man of timber and caliber. It's not fair. It's not good. You need expert analysts to help you look and see what Ten Hag is trying to do. You need 3 more years, 4 more years to see.
Let's say expert. Please, what is Ten Hag doing? Tell us, teach us.
I mean, I'm not an expert though. I don't have a license.
Teach us, sir. What is Ten Hag doing? So I feel like even when you look at games that they've won, like there's no definitive style. There's no definitive approach. Like you can't say this is what won them the game. Against Liverpool, what won us the game? Like we can't really say this was what. Like stellar managers, they are known for their impact in games. Like I'm very sure when Arteta saw Pep making substitution today, he was like, we need to bear right into your long. Like it was like a chess. Like okay, now Doku and Grealish is coming in. Are they trying to switch from the middle to the flank? Like you can basically see what is happening. But when Man United wants to make a change, you just see McTominay. Then you're beginning to think, okay, what exactly is McTominay's role going to be? Like you're not even sure where he's going to play on the field. Like, and I'm speaking as somebody that loves Man United wholeheartedly. So that is just
a whole box to box midfielder.
Max Horse.
And to even make matters worse, I think it's like the third or fourth highest goal scorer for the team this season. Like McTominay. McTominay cannot even walk into Aston Villa team. Like, okay, Aston Villa is too much. He can barely walk into Watford team, and they are in the Division 2. Like I am, if you, at least I've been privileged to see some of Watford games this season, like in the Division 2. I've seen Watford.
So if that's the case, how can you then blame the manager who's trying to take you back to days of glory? Maybe he has not gotten the right tools required to elevate the team and take it to the next level. He has put in his strategy. He needs a couple of years, like 3 more years.
I agree, Bodish. Let's see. Making 4 more years.
4 more years.
The number you are giving is why your mic is taking an hiatus from function. Because he knows even your mic can tell you are telling terrible lies. So,
well, I'm going to put you on the spot before I let you go. Like, are you part of the camp that says, like Bolish now? Are you part of our camp that says, oh, let him stay for 4 more years and build? Or are you part of the camp that are tired, like let him be going?
I think I'm in the camp that is no longer affected emotionally by what happens at the club. So I'm just like, you know what? Let's just keep watching. Let's just keep having this traumatic.
No. But sorry, I will ask you a question. Let's not do that. I think you found a way to actually dribble around the question. So if calm down, if your money was, if you were the owner of Manchester United and you bought it with your money,
just came in now.
Yeah, you are the majority owner. You bought the club with your money. What is the decision?
Let's assume I am the majority owner. Let's assume I am the majority owner. Quote, air quote. Who am I going to replace Ten Hag with? That's the question.
Is that not why you are the owner? You are the owner now. Is that not why you are the owner?
If I'm not being sentimental, Bright, the argument that you guys normally make sometimes, like who would you replace Ten Hag with? Sometimes it just makes me laugh. In all honesty, but go on.
No. This thing Wale said. Sorry for cutting you.
Okay. See, the fact is, I'm trying not to sound very ridiculous now, but the fact is, when we make some arguments from a fan perspective, not from an administrative perspective. Now, I will try not to mention any team's name, but there's a team that has been changing manager, and while we will say the next manager is better than the previous one, we find out that the next one is actually worse than the previous one. So it presently, when you're looking at, if you're looking at a club from an administrative standpoint, there are some things that have to be put in place, which I think everybody will be fair enough to say I was not a fan of the Ineos group whatsoever. But with what I am seeing them doing, I think they are trying to put those things in place first before they now put a knight that would now champion whatever structure it is that is in place. Because you cannot just keep changing manager and the basis for changing manager is not achieved. We cannot keep changing manager. Changing manager is not the issue. Since Alex Ferguson, we've changed manager over and over again. And with all fairness to those managers, they are not really bad. Look at David Moyes. Like, he's doing a fantastic job in West Ham. Your understanding of football might be
West Ham.
yes,
Go on.
but at least it shows that he's not as terrible as he seemed when he was at the helms of affairs in Man United. Same with Van Gaal, like Ragnick. Now, it's about the fact that if you are going to be cheating in your relationship, make sure the woman you are cheating with is worth it. Stop cheating with a 3 when you have a 7 at home. Simple. But I know why they cannot understand that. Why they cannot understand that? Because it does not.
I don't cheat. I won't understand that. Yeah, I don't cheat. I won't understand that. But this argument for me, I know Bolish has mentioned it on this podcast before that there's no way where it's written in the folklore that Ten Hag is the Messiah. And I remember me and Bolish had the conversation off air. And we're talking about City appointing Berada as CEO. I said City United appointing Berada as CEO for next season, coming in. And we're like, oh, Berada might want to come into his own type of manager, but the most important thing is to give him time. I'm all for giving managers time in a certain way. Do you get? When Xavi came into Barcelona, they were struggling, but you could see what he wanted to do. Arteta came into Arsenal, they were struggling, but you could see that, okay, the players that he had, and this is what he's trying to do. My issue with those that are always saying, oh, give Ten Hag time, blah, 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 he did miracles, he did this at Ajax and all those things is, heaven knows that you cannot see what he's planning to do. Every time you watch Man United play, he's from one disaster to another. You mentioned identity earlier, Bright. You watch Spurs, Villa, Arsenal, Barca, the best of the best teams in the world. You are even the big teams are not the best. Even Everton, you know what they're going to do. That it's going to be long, then second balls, you fight aerially and stuff like that. But when you watch Man United play, you cannot face. Brentford, Luton, all these smaller teams cannot suddenly look like 2009 Pep Guardiola's Barcelona every week to you. Like when these teams show up, when they play Man United, that's what they look like. They look like, oh my God, they're out of this world. They can probably beat any team. And even when United end up winning, you'll be like, oh, they were lucky to win the game. Like yesterday, for example, you faced 31 shots against Brentford, a team that has lost 14 of his last 16 games. So if you are saying, oh, let's give the manager time and every other thing, what exactly is the manager trying to do? If I'm the owner, if I'm Jim Ratcliffe and I'm watching the game, the first thing I need to ask the manager is, okay, please, I'm begging you. Let's even say you don't have the players, or maybe you need one or two other players, or maybe you need Frankie de Jong. What exactly are you trying to do?
Another thing I probably would add to it is, in all seriousness, is that sometimes when you see what's going on, a lot of things sometimes is about effort to start with. The effort of United players is very, very irritating. It doesn't feel like some of the guys even want to be on the pitch, because defensive structure, positioning, all those things would only work if there's effort. Meaning, if people are putting the shift, if people are doing the run, if someone is overlapping and you're making the run to cover for your defender, those simple things that make a team solid. Because the first thing is you have to be solid. And that's why you would always hear when they talk about stats and all this, and they will tell you Pep's team, they run more than most teams in the league. And you'll be like, but they're a tiki-taka team and all that. But they run more than most teams, because when it comes to defensive assignments, it's not about just the shape or defensive structure. The players have to be willing to put the extra mile, to chase back, to follow their man, to continue to go after the ball, different things that are in place. And if, as a manager, you can't get your players to buy into that aspect of the game, meaning even get them to even buy into defensive assignments, then it becomes a problem. And if, as a manager, it looks like you don't know what to put it together in midfield to even stabilize the team, because that's number one thing. I always insist that in modern day football, if you don't have quality fullbacks and quality midfield, you're going to suffer. I don't care who you have in attack. I don't care how sensational your attack is. Your midfielders have to be quality. If you are going to win anything, like if you are going to have any consistent kind of game, you are going to have any consistent kind of what's it called abilities. And I look at the United team. So there are two things. Number one, the players don't even buy in. Then number two, who is playing in United midfield? And then but I feel like as according to what Bright said, you can't just put everything at the foot of the manager. As the CEO, which I've said in the past, you have to now start laying a structure for how things are done. And the first thing first is that you guys spent almost 250 million or so in last summer buying rubbish because you guys did not have a scouting network that did their job properly. You did not have like a long-term plan and a cue card of the kind of players you want. Meaning, these are the kind of players. Do you get? They're just buying, and nobody. Anthony should not have. Anthony, the crazy part is, I can actually say that if you send Anthony to Everton, he will be on the bench, and you guys sign him for 100 million. So things like that are not supposed to happen, and those are the kind of small discrepancies that the CEO has to correct.
A whole correct that compass.
Like he has to correct that. Then going further, then get the manager, that you need. There are managers. If you say if not for Ten Hag, who should you bring in? There's Nagelsmann, there's Zidane, there's there are coaches that will come in. But you have to have your house in order. You have to have things in place that will attract the manager.
That is my point. That if you don't have those things in place, these managers are not willing to come. Like, gone are the days when we used to think that the name United meant that you could get any manager. Nobody wants to soil their reputation again. Like, nobody wants to be the next Pochettino. Like, nobody. Like, there's whispers. Why do you think Alonso said, "Oh, Ben, you know what? I am staying here." There's a reason for that. Like, sure, you get what I'm saying? Like,
I feel like
there's a reason why Zizou has not taken any job. There's a reason for that. Like, it's not just quote and unquote, I'm a United, so definitely it doesn't work that way. Imagine the kind of managers we are now linked to. We are linked to the Wolf, to the guy Gary O'Neill. What's his name again? Like, you are laughing. You guys are laughing
Southgate.
Because it's the truth. You are linked to Southgate. Like, that is like the quality of managers that can actually bring the change that we envisage are not willing to come and take the risk because they've seen that this system would not support me. This system would not make me implement what I want to. This system would not make me succeed. It is not fluke that the same Ancelotti that did well in Bayern Munich, that did well in that did well in AC Milan, that did well in Bayern Munich, that did well in Real Madrid, went to Everton.
Chelsea.
Yes, get the monetary power of Everton. And it didn't really make much of an impact. He didn't have the resources. He didn't have the structure. James Rodriguez that was supposed to, Baba was busy doubting his gender and stuff. Like, there is a reason for all of these things. Like, Gary O'Neill is the kind of manager that United deserves now. Gareth Southgate is the kind of manager that United can actually attract now. That is why, like, that these things are not rocket science, but at the same time, there's a process to it. Sure, you get.
I get what you're saying, but I think the mistake you're making is that what you're forgetting sometimes is that managers have egos. And that's why they are always successful at what they do. Managers believe that where this guy might be failing. Yeah, so managers, if you're on the high like Alonso, you can decide where Bayern, Liverpool are chasing you, Real Madrid are probably promising you the future. You can decide, I'll take my time. I can turn down some jobs. For managers, the reason they're successful is sometimes this is why they feel they have egos. They really believe that where this guy has failed is where I can do things better. Do you get? There's a new structure coming in. You mentioned Ineos, Radcliffe, and the likes. If the new CEO is telling the manager that he wants that, okay, I'm going to do things this way, blah, 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 this is the plan or what have you, or these are I intend to get things done. There are managers that will say, no, I don't have it, so I might as well just go and I can get things done. And on the issue with Southgate and Gary O'Neill being linked to Man United is because the new structure of Jim Ratcliffe and every other thing is predominantly British. Dana Schwartz coming in as a potential sporting director, Jason Wilcox coming in as a potential technical director. There's a tendency for the media to link them with English people that they've worked with as well. So that's where the whole Southgate, blah, blah, blah. But in terms of getting a manager, Thomas Tuchel doesn't have a job. Nagelsmann doesn't have a job. If you call them at some point, they will jump at it and tell you that, don't worry, I got this. I'm the Messiah. That's how managers.
You guys don't want
that's what
United. I'll just move to another topic. If you're telling me
let's wrap it up, please.
Let's just wrap it up, please. If you're telling me that Taliban is the man for United, you see that your heart is not in the right space. Let's just wrap it up.
to Taliban and Ten Hag, Taliban are in the same WhatsApp group. Bolish, you mentioned Alonso earlier, and it came up in this discussion. It came as a surprise to me, obviously, when he decided that I'm not leaving Leverkusen. He had his reasons. He mentioned the fact that this is my first full season. I didn't start last season. Blah blah blah. Then there are conspiracy theorists, obviously, talking about the fact that how do I put it? Florentino Perez has called him to promise him the job in 2025 or what have you. My fear for Alonso not going to Bayern or Liverpool is Bayern exactly. Because I know the way Bayern thinks. Next thing you know is Bayern want to buy more than half of the team in Leverkusen. Suddenly, Jeremy Frimpong has a 40 million euros Bayern clause. Bayern is going to go and activate it. Florian Wirtz is German. He's 20-year-old. He's talented. Bayern are there already. Bayern are good. By the time Leverkusen start next season, the players that have shown them shaggy, at least half of them are not there.
I think the truth is, we all know that if you are a coach of Bayer Leverkusen in a league that has Bayern, you are not expected to win the league. You are expected to compete, you try, and then try to win the league. Now, even if they win the league this year, no one is going to come in next year and say they're expecting Leverkusen to win the league just because of things like this you have said. And in the pecking order, they'll still be behind Bayern, Dortmund, in terms of how people view what they are doing. So I understand for him to have come to this decision. I think there must have been discussions in the background with the team, and the discussion will be stuff along the line of, oh guys, we have done this year, we've competed to this level, we'll try to close out and win the league. We're 13 points ahead with about, I think, 7 or 8 games to go. So we'll try to close out the league and win the league. But I need assurances. And the assurances will be that if we are going to lose anybody, there has to be something that will replace that person. This is the kind of profile I need. This kind of profile I want. This is what I need. I think those are the kind of conversations I want to believe. Those are the kind of conversations that someone like Alonso will have had with the sporting director, with the Bayern Leverkusen hierarchy. And if they are able to assure him and say, okay, yeah, we can do this for you. We'll do this like this. And they have a plan going forward. I think this is a good decision for him. And the truth is, we just had this conversation now that who is Man United going to employ? Good managers would always get good jobs. That one is not going to change. Nothing's going to change that. So staying in Leverkusen for himself, for development, you can try things out. You can build different tactics. You can work on so many things in Leverkusen. Yes, if you win two leagues for Leverkusen, you automatically become a cult hero. See Osimhen. Osimhen won just one league title for Napoli, and the conversation around Osimhen in Napoli forever is going to change. So there are some places where if you do Mourinho in Porto, there are some places there are some things you do that you just become a cult hero. And the truth is, yes, there's nothing wrong with staying 3 years in Leverkusen, maybe winning just one league title, trying different things, building your resume, getting experience, and then going from there to a club where every game there's pressure. If you go to a team like Barcelona, like Real Madrid, Barcelona is literally putting pressure on Xavi even without budgets. You can think about it. They don't have budget. We needed a defensive midfielder. They did not sign defensive midfielder. But there's pressure on Xavi to win every game as if we bought him an elite squad. And he's playing with 16, 17, 19-year-olds in the squad. So imagine that kind of thing. So you have to be prepared for it. You have to make sure that mentally you think you are ready for it. You can't just jump into a situation like that where you feel like you're not ready. So I think it's the right decision for him, regardless of what Bayern does, regardless of how the team looks. I think for him, taking his time, 2 years, 3 years, when he's ready, there'll always be jobs. Chelsea in a year or 2 years time, Chelsea will need a new manager. Most likely United will need a new manager. Most likely, what's it called? Liverpool, whoever they bring in as an interim, maybe the person will still fail. They'll need a new manager. Barcelona, we already need a new manager. Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti might want to leave. AC Milan might want to sack their manager. Napoli already needs a new manager. That's already 8 jobs that. So if you are good, you will get a job. So I think taking his time, seeing what you can do, achieve with Leverkusen, it automatically established your resume for life. What if that be kind of things you can do with Leverkusen? Especially if you are able to now say maybe next year you take them to Europa League or something and you win it or something like that, you add it to the resume. It changes your trajectory. So I think it's the best decision for him.